Jupiter Ascending was a colossal bomb from 2015, written and directed by the Wachowskis and stars Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis in a fantastical sci-fi space opera. This movie is kind of hard to explain, so I'm going to read out the IMDb synopsis because it's a bit difficult to do so. A young woman discovers her destiny as an heiress of intergalactic nobility and must fight to protect the inhabitants of Earth from an ancient and destructive industry. Okay, that doesn't really help. It tells the story of Jupiter Jones, an everyday woman who learns that she owns the Earth, her intergalactic relatives own other inhabited planets, and they harvest said inhabitants to create a serum that causes age reversal. Jupiter is then swept into a plot to take Earth from her by the Abrasix family, whose inheritance is threatened by her existence. Yeah, this is really confusing to describe. If you watch it, it makes a lot more sense, and it's explained a bit more thoroughly. Anyway, what am I doing here? Oh yeah. Welcome to Blockbuster Analysis, a series where I go over films that either were incredible successes or colossal failures and analyze what could have caused either of those results to occur, from release dates to critical response, and then go over the box office results and aftermath from said success or failure. Also, just as an aside, I apologize for the lack of visuals from the movie for this video and others in the future. This movie was produced by Warner Brothers, which, from what I've heard, is the worst ever for copyright claims and blocking videos, and I want to avoid copyright issues here and in the future. Okay, here we go. Jupiter Ascending had a fantastic cast and crew behind it. The Wachowskis, most known for the Matrix trilogy, as well as some other films that weren't as successful, were fantastic choices for what Warner Brothers was looking for. A unique new sci-fi franchise is, in my opinion, kind of needed, especially after the disastrous Disney era of Star Wars and the excellent yet rife with issues Star Trek reboots. The Wachowskis were the perfect choice to join in concept, ideas, visuals, and characters to create a brand new universe for audiences to enjoy. The choice for the leading lady, Jupiter, was Mila Kunis, who is mostly known for her roles on That 70s Show and Family Guy. It's a bit of an interesting choice, seeing that she's not the most bankable person on the planet, but I think filmmakers were putting their money on the more bankable star in Channing Tatum. Fresh off his success in movies like Magic Mike, 21 Jump Street, and action movies like White House Down, Tatum was a pretty good choice for a hero in this universe. Additionally, in the supporting cast, there's Sean Bean, who doesn't die surprisingly, and Eddie Redmayne, who is fresh off his success and Oscar nomination and later win for The Theory of Everything. Overall, a pretty well-rounded and decent cast that, while isn't incredible, had the potential to put butts in seats. Jupiter Ascending was going to initially be released on July 25th, 2014, until it was pushed back to February 6th, 2015. Mostly due to poor test screenings and to allow more time for CGI work to be done. Incidentally, this CGI work, reportedly on over 2,000 effects shots, ended up ballooning the total budget from an estimated $130 million to $176 to $200 million. Additionally, the push from a summer release to a late winter release was a sign that the studio was eager to simply push it out and get its release and fallout over with. At least it wasn't a January release, right? This movie deserved so much better. It also oddly premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on January 27th, 2015. Just thought I would put that in there. Really weird. As its release date grew closer, Jupiter Ascending's reviews began to come in, and they were not really great. On Rotten Tomatoes, it ended up garnering a 27% based on 270 reviews. Elsewhere, reviews were a little more positive, as Metacritic had a score of 40% based on 40 reviews. CinemaScore, which polls audiences, got a fairly good B- average from a traditional A+ to F scoring system. Overall, I don't think the reviews did this movie justice, and I think people would receive it a lot better now that Star Wars had such a terrible finale in the Disney era. Anyways, Jupiter Ascending was released the week before the 4-day President's Day weekend, allowing it the ability to leg out a bit more than other films. It was shown in 3,181 theaters for its first 2 weeks in the US, a paltry amount considering its budget and plans to become the next big sci-fi franchise, and ended up making $18.37 million in its opening weekend, averaging about $5,775 per theater. It dipped a respectable 49.6% in its second weekend, making $9.25 million, and made $10.76 million over the 4-day weekend. It fell a little bit hard in its third week, dipping 58.9% and losing 678 theaters, making $3.8 million. It continued to slip down the box office until its 13th week when it was finally pulled from all theaters and its run ended with a domestic haul of $47,387,723. This was a tremendous failure when compared to its $176 to $200 million budget, but maybe it would be able to recoup some of its money abroad. Overseas, it didn't fare much better. It made a total of $136.5 million, making its worldwide total box office a paltry $183.9 million. Its biggest markets were China, where it made $44.62 million, Russia with $10 million, and France with $5.57 million. In all, its box office numbers weren't spectacular in any way at all. On the lower side of its budget, $176 million, its multiplier on said budget was only 1.044, much, much lower than the typical break-even point of around 2.5. Eventually, Jupiter Ascending lost a reported $95 to $120 million in 2015, adjusting to around $104 to $131 million today. Using the 50-40-25 method, that is 50% of US grosses, 40% of non-Chinese box office, and 25% of Chinese box office takes, I calculated that it lost anywhere from $104.38 to $128.38 million, unadjusted for inflation. Eventually, I want to talk about this movie more and give my thoughts and opinions in the future, because I think this movie is, albeit a gigantic mess, a very unique and entertaining sci-fi adventure. It's currently on Netflix, so check it out if you're interested. I think it gets way too much of a bad rap. Overall, I think its critical reception hurt it the most in its box office numbers, aided substantially by its poor release date. Overall, Jupiter Ascending is an interesting film to look back on. You can either get engaged in its story and world, or marvel at just how much money was thrown at the screen. I genuinely wish that at least it broke even, because I think a sequel would be really interesting. I guess it's okay that it bombed, considering that one of the Wachowskis is going back to the Matrix franchise, so thanks, Jupiter Ascending. Anyways, if you like this video, consider subscribing for my thoughts on Jupiter Ascending in the future, as well as other films to be analyzed, and be sure to comment anything you thought could have affected its success and discuss what elements you liked or disliked about it down below. Have a fantastic day, all. I'll see you next time.